The vision for Leisure World was kind of broad-based, and it was really important to us to make sure that we implemented all of the components that we did in Maryland and serve a nice addition for a housing opportunity for our active adult community.
One of the first things that the developer put up, of course, was the sales center. And my wife and I stopped in there just to talk and see, what is it that you're doing? What's it going to be like? And it didn't take long to convince me that I wanted to give up lawn mowing and building maintenance. And the whole concept seemed to strike me well.
We were interested in Leisure World because we lived in Maryland and we knew about people who lived at Leisure World in Maryland. So several of our friends and I came down. We took a freight elevator up to the top floor and they gave us a great lunch and we bought our place.
My husband and I moved to Riverbend in July of 1998. They just had the sales office and we picked our unit from floor plans down at the sales office. We were living in Williamsburg, Virginia, and my husband had Parkinson's. Our children were living up in this area, and so I thought we need to move while we can because I was starting to need a lot of help. And then we came out here and we were visiting my son one time, and I said, well, let's just go take a look. And we did, and we liked it.
Jack Heller, if you know that name from here, he was IDI. We bumped into him one Sunday at church, and he said, say, you and Teresa, my wife Teresa, ought to come out and look at the new place we're building in Leesburg. We decided to come out and sort of looked over what was being developed and got to thinking maybe this would be the place for us because we had a big house, you know, like so many people, and had been there for years, that we'll maybe give this a try. So we moved over here and I've been very pleased with having made that move.
There was no building here when all they had was a sales office down there. And they weren't even taking contracts. They were discussing their plans, and I think they were trying to find out how many people were interested and what the response would be toward buying a place.
Riverbend started shortly after we completed the marketing center, which was right at the entrance of our community. And we started marketing in the 96 timeframe, 97, and we started deliveries of the Riverbend in the 1998 time period, and probably spent about a year or so completing the second phase of the Riverbend and completing the sales. So it ran over a period of about 2 years from the construction.
I think my son said to me, he says, Mom, you can't, where I was living, she says, you can't stay here. You're going to have to find a place to live. And I said to him, I said, well, right now I'll start looking. And who was it that was with me? And she said to me, she says, well, come on. She says, we'll find you a place to stay, to live. And so this is where I picked. I didn't know what it was going to be like or anything.
I think we were down here visiting,
and we happened upon it. And it sounded quite good. And we tried it out. It was especially attractive to my husband.
I moved in here in 1997, I think. It was close to my niece, and we were over here for, I think, Easter. She had some unwelcome guests, and she wanted to get out. So she said to me, think of something you can do. I said, there's a place here I'd like to look at. So we came and looked at that, and she said, I think that's great, and it's close enough to me that I can get here in a hurry. So that's what we did.
Why I moved in was I was going to do a condo, and this building was half-built, and my mother had no place to live, so I thought I could move her in here and she could push an elevator button and go down and play with people.
Well, his family had illnesses, and his older sister took in his mother and was caring for her and a sister that was ill, and also a husband, and she lived in Maryland, and we thought, you know, maybe we better think about
Handicap facilities.
facilities where we would be comfortable. At that time, we were in a 4-bedroom home in Sterling. So we decided, looking down the road, this would be the best place.
We looked around at several places, my husband and my daughter, and I didn't see anything I really liked. So my granddaughter lived over in Ashburn, and she worked at Lansdowne, so she told us about this Leisure World.
I love the walk, and there was a time when we could just walk around the whole walk that's outside the gate. And you didn't see that many cars. You did see a lot of deer. Leisure World had a lot to offer, but I also had a revolving door in my house where my daughters, I settled them. I bought a condo for each of them, so they were gone. But not really, because they came over for dinner every night. So my middle child, when I told them I was moving, my middle child said, who's gonna feed me? And I said, you find a man who cooks. And she did, and she married him. And so they still came over, but it wasn't as frequent.
I moved in 1998. I was taking art classes out here, and I happened to see a sign about Leisure World. And I had heard of it in other areas of the country, and I thought, well, I was ready to downsize. I had a townhouse, and the stairs were getting to be a bit much. So I decided, well, let me call this place, and I came over, and I came more than once to look at it. A friend came with me one time, and she said, you know, I really think this is a place for you. So I thought, you know, I think she's right.
Our topping off parties are probably, they're a lot of fun, because what we do is at a point during our marketing period, we go up and pick a floor and clean the floor up, and then we stripe out the individual floor plans on the concrete deck so that our prospects could come up and actually walk the floor, walk into specific units and see the views from that particular unit.
We signed our contract in January, I think it was January the 14th, and we moved in August the 1st of 1997, if I'm correct on that.
Yeah. We had initially signed for a contract for the back, but then they had the topping out. We all went upstairs to see, and then we realized that we want to be in the front of the building so we can see the river and that, so.
But then they had a invitation to come for a topping, which was really fun. They took us up the elevator to the roof, and of course there was nothing on the sides. And my sister said, well, go look over and see what your window looked like. And I said, you must be nuts. I said, if you want to know what it looks out my window, either wait until I get there or you go look. But I'm not leaning out of this storied building or anything, but it was really very nice. They had a very nice party. It was in the garage, but all decorated.
As a matter of fact, the part of the building where I moved in was still under construction. The left half was pretty much done. But anyway, I didn't know what my view was going to be because it was still under construction. So when I got a chance to see the view, a friend and I shared a bottle of champagne because I thought, oh, it was really nice.
We knew we had a gap in time between the Riverbend and the Blue Ridge building that we needed to have some kind of a social gathering place. So we erected a couple double-wide trailers at the end of Leisure World Boulevard and basically set up a small staff there and started to get the social environment going and some of the activities as much as we could.
And that trailer was a lot of fun. Lots of activities took place on the trailer. There were art classes and ceramics classes. And 20 years ago, not everybody had a personal computer, and so there were 4 computers in there that the residents could use. And we line danced in that trailer. And because of the pounding of our feet, that old double wide was literally rocking and rolling.
That trailer had provided an office space for the overall manager, which was Shannon and Lux at that time, and a young lady whose name was Joan Owen, who later became an IDI employee when the management company went away.
It was funny because then they built the clubhouse, started the activities over here, and then some of the ladies said, oh, they're taking away our little trailer.
It was woods when we looked, so there was this monolith on a hill surrounded by woods, and it was very pretty.
There wasn't anything around. This was the only building that they had just started, and it was only halfway done. So we were here since, sort of day one. Dirt road coming in. We moved in when they still had the dirt road past the front of this building. So we've seen a lot of it.
Leisure World of Virginia was really the only residential high-rise in Loudoun County.
The Welcome Center, where they were selling the units, had it all built out on a diorama. So you knew what was going to happen. If you came here, you knew that you were going to get other buildings, and construction was never bad. It was never really a problem.
We sat on our balcony and watched Blue Ridge being built. We enjoyed that. It didn't bother me.
The Riverbend is more or less on a pretty flat ground, but when you get over to Riverview, it was quite a slope, and so they had to go over there and blast rock out to build the building. It was quite interesting.
It was fascinating to watch my grandchildren I have a window on the side of the building, and so my grandchildren would sit on the counter in the kitchen and watch all these fabulous trucks. It really was interesting.
We could sit on our balcony on the 9th floor of Riverbend and watch all the blasting and rocks being blown up and buildings coming up, and just a scurry of people working, and always something interesting going on.
I went to some board meetings to meet people, and we thought we were pioneers. That's how we referred to ourselves. Because we were the first building, and we had to make it up.
When we moved in, everybody was new. And so everybody was looking to make friends. And nowadays we have happy hour every Friday night. Back then, we had a party every single Saturday night. Every single Saturday, there was some sort of a party. Sometimes a catered dinner, sometimes a potluck, sometimes just a meet and greet. But there was lots of opportunities to make friends. And if you chose not to, well, that certainly was your option.
When we moved here, we didn't know nobody. They didn't know no people already here didn't know nobody. And you know, you just have to go make friends. It's one way. I don't mean one way, it's two ways, you know.
Well, also when they had their Christmas party, it was just strictly for our building because it was the only building here. And it was great. They had fantastic Christmas parties.
I think it's nice that they have built up around us, and I love the Lansdowne shopping center.
I think that Riverbend is probably the most friendly of all the buildings, and I've heard that from visitors who come in, and I think it's true.
I was in the Air Force for 25 years, so it was sort of like an outpost where everybody did things together. It was very good.